We are back at the Impression Studio today. Today, the setup is a bit of a set design instead of the green screen that we did last time. And today, why I'm speaking in English instead of BM for this particular episode is because we are talking about an international conference. An international conference on the future of learning, organized by the International Union of Professional Trainers. Correct. The conference is called the IUPT, Asia Pacific Conference 2022, and I'm made to understand that it is the first time that we are having a conference such as that hosted in KL. It's the first one, and KL is going to be the first host. So today with me I have Mr. KCC, Vice President of IUPT, not the Asia Pacific one. This is the Vice President of the entire international chapter or the international organization called the IUPT. Right. So welcome to the studio, KC.
Oh, thank you for having me here.
And I think before we talk about the event a bit later,
right.
What I'm excited about today is the fact that we have an internationally renowned fellow of the training community, right? Mainly trainers are responsible for adult education, and these are the people who think about how we as adults who are working, who are pursuing higher education, and continuously learning in the workplace or in life, how is the best way for us to learn better, to learn faster, to learn in a shorter period of time, to learn not just knowledge but also skills.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
And what I'm interested in is that, we all know, before this we've had this, okay, I'll go to a training, I'll pay for one, I'll attend it either online or physically. But where do you think the future of training is headed? And should we be excited about it?
Yeah, first and foremost, to understand what's happening in the future for training, we need to understand what's happening in the world. Prior to the COVID-19, 2019, the World Economic Forum, in a very significant part of it, has actually announced that we are into what we call a reskilling revolution. And what they say in their research, quite extensive, is by 2030, 50% of the jobs have to be reskilled. Now think about that. That means half the world working population, in a number of years' time, the job won't exist anymore, and they have to be reskilled.
Okay.
And this has been accelerated by the pandemic, and now the figure seems to be 2025, that 50% of the job need to be reskilled. And this has been echoed by various research worldwide, that there's a huge change in terms of what's happening out there in terms of skills, job skills. The other part of it is, as the new millennia comes into the working population, we need to understand the way they grow up, the way we grow up is very different. I mean, the way they learned and the way we learned is different. So with this scenario here, and you ask about the future of learning, has to change in response to these demands, first and foremost, and also to the methodologies of how this can be done. So the old style of how we do learning and training have to be re-examined, not taken away, but re-examined, and re-looked at how best do we get maximum results for the kind of limited resources the world is going to have. So let's start with the first R, reskilling. And my contention is, in the reskilling revolution, the first people that need to reskill are the trainers, are the people who is doing this. We have to reskill ourselves. We can't be doing the same old way as we've been doing the last 23 years. Now, I've been in training for the last 38 years. I started even before I was 30 years old and got very passionate about learning, but so much things have changed. And as you say, it's very exciting, very exciting. So you asked me, what are some of the different aspects of it? First and foremost, the short attention span of people. Secondly, the media has changed. I mean, the young people watch more videos than anybody else. I mean, and also people want to have things that's a lot more practical, a lot more, I do it the next day. They're not going to learn something and, wait another year or so before it becomes practical. So it's the immediacy of learning that becomes important. So they give rise to two very commonly said, which is micro-learning, short learning, and the second part is issue-based. That means when you learn something, it has to be applicable, practical, and usable. All right? So maybe I'll continue. If you know, I will have 3 R's to go through with you. First R is the reskilling. The second R is, we know that the world is moving into a recession next year. There's no doubt about it. The inflation, the economic situation will put pressure on every organization that it demands that the limited resources we have has to give us better results than ever before. That means, in the past, organizations spend money on learning for their staff. They feel it's a necessary evil. Sometimes they don't believe that learning can give them anything in return. It's just something you have to do. But I don't think moving forward, this will be the way it is. I mean, organizations that spend any amount of resources on this area will be asking, where's the money going to, and how are we going to get things out of it? Which lead to my third R, which is results. Now, I'm an accountant by profession. I'm a chartered accountant, actually. Okay. I make a switch to learning 38 years ago. And it's always curious to me that when people in this community talks about learning, they talk in terms of activity. How many seminars, how many people go for training, what do we have, what we organize? Very few people talk about actually what's the result that we're getting out of it. So where's the ROI? Where's the return on the kind of investment? And this has been something that I've been talking about for years, because there are science, there are methodologies on measurement of business results from training, but it is not well used or looked into. But I guess in the near future, the future of training, the demand for results is going to be there, the demand for measuring returns is going to be there. So if I may summarize the 3 R's, first the reskilling, secondly is the recession, and the third one is the demand for results.
Okay, I'm going to zero in the last R first, because I think that's one of the most important
exactly.
Aspects for a learner, and also the sponsor of the learning.
The people who pay the money for it. Yeah.
Well, it's not just people who pay money for it. Businesses pay a lot of money to train their people.
Sure.
Whenever there's a problem in the education system or there's a problem of lack of graduates, the first thing we talk about is training. Let's talk about, can you explain to us, how do you quantify those results? Because that's a mystery for all of us. I mean, I remember when I was working in the industry, the only way that we could measure the performance was the feedback form at the end of the training, right? And the trainees will rate them. And because of that, I'll have to say that trainers forced or made sure that they were likable without making the learning part a primary objective, isn't it?
You're right.
So I'll be funny, I'll be happy, everyone comes back, I give you a 5 or a 10.
We play a lot of games.
Everybody gives you good
if they have good time, they put a 10. But actually, what's the result?
So how do you measure that? I am actually very intrigued with that.
This is a science I've been teaching for years, and it's not invented by me. I'm very lucky to have a mentor. His name is Dr. Jack Phillips. He used to be the learning director of Bank of America. I got him to come over here, and I got him to basically run sessions to teach HR department how to do measurement of training. The one that you just described, the piece of paper that people fill up at the end of a training, it's called level 1.
Level 1 of how many levels would that be?
5 levels.
5 levels.
Only level 1. Level 1
Okay.
is, we call it, pardon me, the happy sheet. SHEET.
Okay.
Piece of paper. I'm happy with the program.
Double E, guys. Double E. Okay.
I'm just happy with the program, but you know. But we literally learn something. So level 2 is the measurement of did you learn something. How do we measure that? It's quite easy. Do a pre and a post.
Right.
If you're going to learn a knowledge area, I can do a pre-test and a post-test. Say your score is 25 before you come to the training. After the training, your score becomes 75. Then we can say, you learned something. For example, English test, pre and post. Let's say you're learning English, or you're learning Microsoft Excel. You can do a test before you go for the class. Then you can do a test after the class. So that is the measurement of learning.
But those are measurable tests. What about non-measurable tests? Let's say I train critical thinking, for example.
Well, critical thinking or understanding. You can run a test in terms of what is critical thinking, what are the steps involved. You can run knowledge tests on that. But that's still level 2, huh? We haven't gone down to the more important level, all right? So learning is one thing. You learn something, does it mean that it is going to be results? It's going to be useful? No, it's not. Unless you get back to the real world and do something about it, right? So the third level is applications. Now, in learning, we talk about measuring pre and post after the training. By an application, we measure, does the guy actually use that in the real world? So for example, if I teach somebody the 6-step process for doing a sales call, right? And the 6 steps are very clearly marked out. The sales manager who went to the sales guy to make the sales call can actually determine whether those 6 steps are followed. So that's called application of learning in the real world. And that can be done. For example, you may think soft skill cannot be measured, for example, right? We do that a lot, measurement of soft skill. For example, I go to an organization and the company tell me, oh, we need to improve leadership. Then I ask them, okay, you're going to do leadership training, right? So how do you know that they have improved? I mean, you do the training, after that everybody's happy sheet says score 10, how do we know? So normally what we do is we get organization to come out with, and this is what I do, I give them a list of competencies for leaders, 52 maybe, and the CEO has to decide for your company, out of the 52, which are the one that you want your leaders to practice or to behave or to show measurable behaviors. So he may choose 26. So we do a pre-test before we went for the training, and after the training, a few months later, we do a 360 degrees, we ask the staff, we ask the colleague, and we measure those 26 points, whether he actually used it. That's application.
So these competency units are provided by you as a shopping list for the CEO or for the manager to take a look. He chooses what his inputs
but
are.
It has to be customized to the client.
All right.
Because different industry will be different.
Exactly. So I think that's one of the issues. A lot of the more budget trainings or the cheaper ones.
Don't do that.
All right. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Right?
As a result, they just do it.
It's always
they don't get
so
result.
off the shelf doesn't work for you.
Activity, no.
Yep.
I need to mention one final one before we go level 5. We don't have to talk level 5. Level 4 is enough.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. If your organization spend money on sales training, what do you expect?
Sales.
Yeah.
Higher sales.
So you should measure the business result. How can it not be measured?
Yep.
You spend 100,000 to train 50 people on sales training. Are you just going to say, oh, we've done a sales training, so let's pray and hope that everything will be okay? Of course not. You have to measure sales training. Another example, if you do health and safety training, what should be the result?
A safer environment.
Number of accidents reduced, right?
Yep.
Measurable or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sales measurable, number of accidents measurable. If you do, let's say, customer service training, what should happen? What can you measure? Number of complaints, right? You can measure number of complaints.
Yeah.
So there is a misnomer in the training in the world that people keep saying soft skills training cannot be measured. That's utter nonsense. Just people don't measure it, that's all. They just do the training because it's a lot more fun. Measurement, okay.
Yeah. But that means that the development process of the module itself has to be more customized.
Yeah.
And you have to spend time before the training.
Yeah, and after the training, of course.
And after the training.
Here's my
and
point
here's the thing.
Yeah.
That's not practiced.
So let me say something that I always tell my students. And by the way, I train a lot of trainers.
Yeah.
That's why I'm in this situation. I say, what happened after the training is more important than what happened during the training. During the training, you can do whatever you want, but that's not how good you are. How good your trainer is not what happened during the training. It's what happened after the training.
Right.
Do they go back to the real world and do something?
The third R
or
we talked
not?
about. Yep.
That's the measurement of professional training.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's not the case.
Okay. So that has to change. Okay, I'm going to take your attention away because I don't wanna get into a debate about, should we be doing this or that. I think that's a great analysis of what training settings should be, right? Inputs before the training is equal or more important. More work should be focused on before you get to the training room. That's what it sounds like to me. Then you can measure what happens after training takes place.
Let me put one more point.
Okay. I'll give you one more point before I ask my next question.
The biggest question to ask anybody that say, oh, we're going to have a training program. The biggest question to ask is, why do you want the training for? And I can tell you, some people will just say, oh, it's just training, we just run it lah. See, the purpose is important.
I have seen that as well from first-hand experience. Because it's either a requirement, particularly from the quality management system, isn't it?
Whatever. Somebody say we must have training.
Because I'm gonna have an audit later on, so I must do training, and I'll do training as cheaply as possible for as many people as possible.
Yeah. Then we've done our job.
Yeah. Okay. Let's not get to that. I want to talk about the future. Okay. Somewhere between the first and second R, you mentioned that training can be much shorter. Right? It needs to be shorter. I totally agree with that. If we're talking about generational gaps,
Small bites.
we're moving to the TikTok, the Instagram generations where attention span are not as long as our generation, right?
right.
We're willing to walk half an hour to a library in our time, but now you can't spend more than a minute watching a video.
Yeah.
But when learning opportunities or learning methodologies change, especially when time gets shorter, I guess two challenges arise. What can you really fit in a short amount of time? Number two, does the business model of a trainer now change, and how do you envision that?
Well, there will be some changes, but it doesn't eliminate the old methods, of course. You know, just like a television never eliminates the radio, right?
It's still a video.
But we professional trainers have to realize that they have to be reskilled. They have to understand that things have changed out there. For example, we talk about the short attention span. So we always think training means classroom, people stand in front, talk to a group of people. Well, why must that be? I mean, there's so many ways people can learn. Even within the work environment. For example, one of the biggest learning opportunity in any organization is on-the-job training. Not just seminars, you know. I mean, this country is a seminar country. We always think in terms of classroom training, all that.
Right.
But on-the-job training, job-related training, learning based on jobs are also equally important. Short processes that people need to learn. We use the phrase, teach less and learn more. I mean, to try and cram a lot of things you want to teach in a 2-day seminar, it's crazy, especially for a certain level of people. But if you give them small bites learning, you know, 1 hour, 1.5 hours of something, and then go and try it out and use it, it's a lot more functional, a lot more practical than trying to dump in a whole lot of things on the people's head.
Yep.
So the attention span is shorter. So you need to give what we call small bite learning. And it is possible. With today's technology, you don't have to have everything live. You can do a synchronous training. It can be a video with the concepts taught, the person consume it, then come to a session where we can discuss, then have another online session where you can do coaching. So there's so many formats that has to deviate from the traditional model that learning has always been.
Yep.
The other issue is this, application. Let's say you learn something, 6 steps on how to deal with an angry staff, for example. So you learn that, training was great, fantastic, role play, everything, everybody was happy. You go back to your workplace, there's no angry staff.
Okay.
All right, so what do? You wait, 6 months later you have an angry staff. And now you're thinking, oh, yeah, I remember I learned something 6 months ago, and now I want to apply it, so what do? I mean, in reality, what do? You'll probably say, I don't know where I put the notes, where the file, you know. Okay, never mind, so actually you never get applied.
Yeah, I guess that's the problem. I mean, I guess when it comes to knowledge transfer, that's one thing, right? It's easier to get someone to know. Now you don't know, I tell you, now you know. But skills transfer is something ingrained in you. I can't tell you how to drive a car. You have to feel it yourself.
Right.
And there's a lot of hours of practice before it.
Sure.
Before the muscle memory sets in,
right.
How do you approach in that situation then? I mean,
So-
the angry case is actually a good example of that then.
So training must be based on need basis, on that situation. So let's say you have a situation. Can you imagine that I need to solve this problem? I know I'm impending issue. I got to deal with this stuff. It's coming up 2 weeks from now. I got to sit down here and work through it. So what do? I can go online, go something, and get those 6 steps or whatever I need to. Do some practice with a coach, an online coach maybe. Be able to do it in a laboratory type environment, and then I go out there and practice with this guy. May not work the first time. I go back to my coach, work out some issues, go back again and try again. Those are highly practical, real world, and much more better results than learning something 6 months ago and forgetting everything now, which is not practical. But that's the way training was designed in the past.
All right.
So the future of training had to be small bite, have to be issue-based, in my opinion.
With that said now, you guys are organizing the IUPT Asia Pacific Conference that would be happening from the 28th and 29th this weekend, right?
Right.
I guess the main purpose why you would do an Asia Pacific version would be it's regional, therefore would be specific to the issues surrounding that region. Am I right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
We will talk about the US or other countries.
So what can we expect for Asia Pacific? And I'm guessing because it's the first one in Malaysia, it's going to be Malaysia specific, hopefully.
No, it's going to be Asian specific.
Asia specific.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us what we can expect for the region.
Well, first and foremost, we are
At the
bringing in speakers from all over. Yeah, people from Middle East, people from Europe, Australasia coming in to share. We also have some local experts to share, and we're going along 3 streams. First stream is to talk on innovation in training methodology,
Right.
because like we discussed just now, things have changed, environment has changed, the learners are younger, they're different, so we have to think in terms of what are the latest or what are some of the innovation and methodology training that we need to explore and consider. The second part is technology in training. Technology has enhanced the efficiency of training and be able to enable a lot more convenient, like you don't have to be in the same room. I mean, those days people had to fly people from everywhere into a conference somewhere in the city and do something. Now we don't have to. Technology helps that, so we're going to explore the various kind of possible technology that will enhance training effectiveness and results. The third one is more for professional trainers. Is on the third stream is talking about how do we grow our training business beyond the shores of our own country.
Right.
How do we become an international trainer? How do we do work in other countries? So there are going to be 3 themes, 3 streams that are going to be covered in this conference. And for Asian particularly, because our countries are smaller, but they are all multicultural. And so we need to look into the aspects of how do we do cross-border training, the first one. The second one is the utilization of technology is still at its infancy in Asia, all right? And I think
Asia.
In Asia, yeah.
In Asia, yeah. Okay.
And of course, the professional trainers in this region need to find out what's the latest development in technology, what are the latest possibilities they can utilize, and of course, study and examine some of the innovation that has been happening everywhere in the world relating to training methods and approaches. So these are the 3 areas that we will be covering, and we will be having people coming from various places. Of course, I wish that I could cover, because this is the first Asia Pacific conference, so we will be having this on an annual basis, and as we grow that, we hope to be able to encompass as many or involve as many of the Asian countries as possible.
All right. For those of you who are interested to be part of the IUPT, they can go to IUPT AsiaPacific.com.
Right.
That would
correct.
be the URL.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the link in the comments
Sure,
later on
sure.
in the video. Any specific highlights or that are going to be part that people should be waiting for at the event? And
Well,
number
there are
2,
two
who
fo-
should be attending? Yeah.
Who should be attending? Anybody involved in training should be attending. What are the highlights? First of all, there's 2 forums. One forum is on fulfilling the training promise. So there's going to be a forum discussion. We have panelists from different countries. I think we have somebody from Pakistan, somebody from Bangladesh, a few countries. I can't remember all the people. So this will be interesting dialogue involved with that. The second forum, which is exactly what we talked about, the future of training. And so this is done by Tina, a lady from Greece who's very much into technology and how technology can impact the future of training. So these 2 forums would be very interesting, and I believe that there will be some new things that people can pick up. But there are also many plenary sessions on various streams like neuroscience in training. Somebody's going to talk about 7 hacks on how to use for training technology.
7 hacks.
7
Okay.
hacks in training technology.
Okay.
There will be one session on storytelling, one session on writing a book, which
Right.
trainers need to, and various other interesting areas
All right.
that will be covered.
Okay, so what I've been told also is that this would be a training conference that's held both physically and virtually.
Virtually, that's right.
All right, so I'm guessing people are coming. It's going to be held at Bangsa
Nexus.
Nexus. Bangsa South Nexus, yeah.
Nexus conference.
All right. Those are for the physical attendees,
Right,
and
right,
those attending virtually will also be
Go
logging
online,
in
yeah.
system.
They
So
go online, yeah.
okay, all right. So how many people are you expecting to make it both physical
we wanted,
and virtually?
there's still this COVID thing people are worried about. In fact, there's a bit of an outbreak now again.
Right.
So about 100, that's about it for on-site.
Okay.
Virtual, I can't tell. It's quite
Okay.
fluid, that
Alright.
is still something
Okay.
we're not sure what
Alright.
numbers will be. But nevertheless, whatever it is, right now our focus is making sure we have a quality conference. The first time we're doing it in this part of the world, and I'm very happy that we get support from various people coming in to support the conference. But the other highlight I want to let you know is we are giving out the Professional Trainers Award.
Okay.
And the panel of judges, one is from overseas, another one is a learning director of one of the major company here, and the other judge is a president of the Federation of Malaysian Business Association. So we have an association representative, we have a corporate representative, and we have an overseas representative. They were judging for the 5 awards that we given out. The first award is Professional Trainer of the Year. Promising Professional Trainer of the Year, that means people are new in training but have show potential future promise. Training Provider of the Year, that's the commercial one, but there's also a Training Provider of the Year for community development. These are more for NGOs, for organizations which are non-profit, but they are training people, developing people, and so forth.
Right.
The last one is Training Advocate of the Year, which is for a company in Asia Pacific that believes in training, put a lot of time and effort to train their staff. So that's another award. So there are 5 awards given out.
So, something that all companies should.
Yeah. So that will be another.
learning.
That will be one highlight. We want to do this in a way which encourages and people out there, and also provide role models for people who are coming into this profession to look up to.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move a bit into a surprise here. Actually, when they told me that it's going to be a hybrid event, we have a physical and virtual. I told them that, why don't you tell us about the virtual aspect of the event? So actually, we have off camera in a surprise set. Back in our studio is Asil.
Yep.
And Asil will be explaining and giving you a short demo of how a virtual event looks like and what a virtual event can actually do. So this is something you'll be expecting at the IUPT Asia Pacific Conference. So
it's great. Yeah.
Asil, why don't you take it away?
It's a great example of using technology.
Yeah. Okay, this is Asil.
Yes, hi everyone. Actually, for this IUPT, we're in partnership with the organizer and also part of the event management. So to get more audience and awareness also on training and for this particular event, we've gone for a hybrid solution where we are doing it online and also at the venue. So for our online, we didn't want to just do any simple Microsoft Teams or Zoom kind of event. We wanted to take it another level, so we're using a virtual event that also has a virtual lobby, and we're also going to encourage engagement with the exhibitors as well in a treasure hunt of sorts, so that we can have the visitors engage, and also to show the visitors our exhibitors, and also some of our speakers are also exhibitors for them to showcase their products that they have.
So this is the interface,
so
and then you can see either you go to a conference hall or exhibition hall.
Yeah,
okay.
So
right.
At the moment our exhibition hall is closed. It will be opening on the 28th and 29th, and the exhibition hall will be accessed by everyone. But for the conference, you would need to purchase a ticket to be able to attend the conference. So when you do go to the conference page, you can see the agenda and what is expected of the conference. Yeah, so at the moment the exhibition hall is closed, but I can still show you. So the exhibition hall will look something like this. So we have a few exhibitors who are on board with us. And so just as an example, actually you can visit the exhibitor booth, and then over here you have the company profile. So you can learn a little bit about every individual company. And you also have the materials that you can add to your briefcase, and also the company profile as well. Then we have interactions such as the chat, the contact details, and then you can also make an appointment. And if let's say you are looking for a job, or you just want to drop your resume or your name card, you can just drop it over here. And as a hybrid solution as well, guests can, if they are coming to the venue for the physical event, they can actually get their QR code straight from their profile. And once they get their QR code, once they arrive at the venue, they can check in, so that we can also so we can keep track of those who are participating during our physical event, and also who are participating in the virtual event as well. As I mentioned, we do have some activities where you can go for the treasure hunt. So you'll have clues in every booth, and then you need to fill up the form so that you can, so that you visit all the booths, all the exhibitors, and then you can answer all the questions for a lucky draw, or some prize giving that we plan to do. So this is just a really, just a brief showcase on the virtual side. So if you're interested, you can join us virtually, or purchase the tickets and come to the venue as well.
All right, so that is the virtual aspect of the event. You'll see an exact physical event with the conference and exhibition. The same would be there.
Yeah.
So that means if you can't make it to KL, or you can't make it on time, go join it virtually.
Yeah.
Any of the content or in the conference would also be readily available after the event for you to view. Okay, that's great. So if you missed the 28-29, you can actually go to the virtual aspect of the booth.
And the booth will be around for 3 months, am I right?
Yeah,
It will be around for 3 months.
3 months.
So you can go and visit, talk to people, virtually, and look into the content, which is very inexpensive. It's $40 US, I think the lowest price $40 US.
I used to attend a few training programs such as this before the pandemic. Of course, there was no virtual option, and during the pandemic, after the pandemic, I saw that at least the ones I've been going to, they've maintained that online version. Do you see this becoming a trend for the training community?
Absolutely, because the world is a globalized world now. I mean, it's not possible for people to fly halfway around the world just to be at an important conference where certain pertinent, important subjects are talked about. I mean, people need to, and the more we fly around, the more global warming is going to be. Right? So we need to use technology to. It's not going to be the same, but at least there's an option that people can explore. I mean, it's good to still have the real event for people to meet up and to talk, but this is an option.
All right. So I guess, in conclusion, what we hear is just a start. I think there's a lot more things we need to talk about. I hope that we can have you back in the studio.
Sure.
Or we can do it online actually. We do it online all the time.
It's my passion.
To talk about the concepts that we talked about today. To be honest, I was only able to scratch the surface today. I wish that we can talk about this in detail. I'm passionate about people learning and myself learning. I hope that we can do it in a short span of time.
Sure.
More and more as we go into the future.
Yeah.
So thank you very much to the audience today. I hope you enjoyed the offerings in English today. And if you have any questions, put it down in the comments. Subscribe to our channel, and we'll be putting the links of the IUPT on our on our page later today. So thank you very much, and hope to see you in the next episode.